You sure about this?
I'm not sure.
Well, let's turn around, dive into this, and see what we find.
Okay, so I'm here alone. Michael got a little freaked out from the water chug. He thinks I'm a fish now. So he went off doing his own thing, and we got the Boo News guys out in the field. I'm pretty sure they're never coming back. They've never been here. I don't think they're coming. I think they hit out in Canada. But, Michael usually does this. So I guess I'll open it with welcome back to BooTv. Today we're going to be covering some paranormal stuff with the guys from Kentucky Podcast Massacre. So yeah, I'm gonna see if I can find Michael and get everything started. So, oh wait, this is going to be mostly kind of like a podcast thing, so it's kind of appropriate that I'm here alone. So we're going to be, for this episode, kind of merging the two, BooTv and Boo Talk.
Where is Hugh? Just like it. 5th episode, I'm talking about paranormal stuff, and he's not here. I wonder what trouble he got into. Last time, it was drinking at a pedal van. It looked like an ice cream truck. I don't know. But anyways, oh, he already did the episode, or the intro. He went that way. Are you sure? Positive. Well, anyways, with the fourth wall break right there, guys, we're going to talk about some awesome things today. I think he went to hunt me down, so I'll be joining him shortly in the netherworlds of the spooky. We've got some interesting things. I was told to stay local, so we want to dive because we're going.
Oh, Mikey, there you are. I've been looking all over for you. You were just telling him about the whole audio thing?
Yes.
I already told him. It's okay. I already got it covered. Come on, let's go.
I would have been here
Mikey.
sooner, but what the hell, man?
All right, Mikey. You want to hear a ghost story? Ghost joke?
Not really.
That's the spirit. Let's get into this shit. So we're going to be covering paranormal stuff, right?
Yep.
All right. So we're going to be focusing mostly on local legends, but before we get into all that, we got a couple people here with us.
Yes, we do.
Who is that? Yeah.
Who is it?
Who's this bearded man?
Oh, this bearded guy. This is Sean Wolf Party Martin. This is your boy from Kentucky Podcast Massacre.
I am Ruthless, and I'm also from the Kentucky Podcast Massacre.
I'm Kentucky Corey. Ditto.
Man, a few words.
That was fucking
You're from
stupid.
Ditto?
Yeah.
You had
Ditto.
no angry sports fans.
Well, Kentucky's won 3 games in a row. I'm pretty happy. I'm in a good mood.
Okay,
So,
I was
there we go.
about to say, since you're on a different show, you're a little worried about talking about that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But what do you guys say we just get into this shit, because we're kind of just on a time frame. But we're going to start off with something simple, something I'm pretty sure you guys have talked about on your show before.
They have.
And it's the Pope Lick Monster.
Oh, yeah.
I'll go ahead and I'll say a little excerpt that I have written down here. So, numerous urban legends exist about the creature's origins and the methods it employs to claim its victims. According to some accounts, the creature uses either hypnosis or voice mimicry to lure trespassers onto the trestle to meet their death before an oncoming train. Other stories claim the monster jumps down from trestle onto roofs of cars passing beneath it. Yet other legends tell that it attacks its victim with a blood-stained axe.
Mm-hmm. So it might be a juggalo.
Mm-hmm. Other legends hold that the monster is a human-goat hybrid that was a circus freak who vowed revenge after being mistreated. In one version, it said the monster escaped the train before it derailed on the trestle, and that is also part of the legend of a ghost train that can be sighted there.
It's the Goatman. That's the one I believe. Like, the train derailed and the Goatman got out.
Yeah, circus freak. Yeah.
We actually had a pretty cool paranormal investigation.
Yeah, there was some
down
spooky
there.
shit going on.
There's something weird down there, yes.
I've always liked the Goatman story because ever since I was a kid, kind of like my stepdad, not really my stepdad. He used to tell me that story all the time, and it scared the shit out of me. So I always wanted to I wanted to see this, but I didn't want to see this because it was like 5.
Have you personally been down there yourself?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty neat. It's very imposing. It's like a 90-foot train trestle. It's active lines, and they have a fence that goes up to it. That doesn't stop people. Like, you can still get underneath the fence. You can still squeeze your ass through, like, the opening. And people walk along there, like, Stand By Me style. And that's where a lot of, like, deaths occur. People getting up there, trying to find the goat man, and they just get hit by the train.
Yeah, I've walked across it. We were stupid. When we were in high school, we didn't know there was still a train that came down. Luckily, when we were going across it, there wasn't a train coming. But we were on acid and stuff, so it was a good idea. It seemed like a good idea. We all lived.
Drugs.
So
That's kind of my forte. I just know there's a haunt based off.
that's all you knew about it?
Oh,
That's
yeah.
all I knew. That's the only thing I've heard is the Pope Lick monster.
Did you go to the
based
haunt,
on-
the Legend of Pope Lick, or whatever? it's
Nah,
called?
I've only heard about it in circles, going through like small little haunt conventions like
I
Monster
wanted,
Bash.
because of my childhood experiences with the Pope Lick monster, I wanted to go see that, the haunted house, and I couldn't.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I didn't get a chance to go see
I was
it.
interested in seeing how they maybe set it up, because it's like just a long kind of trail, more or less. So it's probably like maybe like a forest haunt, more or less.
Mm-hmm.
I know they said the guys that I've talked to and worked there said they it's not at the actual location, it's somewhere else, but
Okay.
it's based off of the lore.
Well,
Yeah.
I remember when we were there, when you were doing an investigation, and I had taken this picture of this huge orb. I mean, it was a translucent orb. It was big, and I said, "Hey guys, I just took this picture of an orb," and all of a sudden, all of our phones died.
Yeah.
They were drained of energy, and they just went out.
I was at like 85%. So
Yeah.
I was like, what the fuck's going on here?
Well, we
Yeah,
caught
and we
some
turned our
stuff.
phones on, and we had our batteries, but it was just like, what the fuck just happened?
But
It
no
was
goat
crazy.
man. You guys didn't see the goat
No, it didn't seem
No.
like goat man.
No, we didn't see Goat Man, but we did, when we were there, we did witness people on the trestles.
Yeah.
Well, we caught stuff on recording too, though. Remember?
Yeah, we did. Yes, we used a spirit box. And at one point, I said, hey, is there anyone here? If you're here, how did you die? And like 5 minutes later, it was like above.
Okay, pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, okay. And like we had some other responses, but that was the response that made us go, yeah, we had actual contact.
And I think it was a week later somebody actually got hit by the train. So
Yes, it
walking
did,
up.
yeah.
Yeah, when I was
Okay.
looking for information to like write down before we did all this, I noticed that there were more recent stuff.
Yeah.
I thought that kind of died out. People didn't go up there anymore, but apparently they still do.
Oh,
and still
people
get
do,
killed.
yeah.
Yeah, that and Hot Rod Haven and stuff like that. Of course, it's always like a venture for people who go out looking for paranormal here in Kentucky.
Yeah. Waverly Hills Sanatorium.
Oh yeah.
Oh yes.
Oh,
Fun fact for you,
yeah.
Matt. A couple years ago, it was like probably my third live concert. It was called Sounds of the Underground. It
I
was
was
right
there.
behind Waverly Hills.
I was there.
Had Lamb of God, Hate
Yep.
Breed, Guar. It was an amazing show.
Guar was there?
Yes, Guar was
I
there.
fucking
They
love
were-
Guar.
Laura was there. Jesus Christ.
And I swear they tormented the fuck out of the ghost there. But I
Oh,
mean,
the ghost was there.
just standing in line to get your tickets, you could actually see a silhouette at the very top.
Yeah.
Kept jumping off, and the stories you hear, even through the movie of Death Tunnel, I can vouch that those things are true because I've stood in front of it and watched like the replay of like an apparition just jump
Man.
and
Vouch, you
disappear.
vouch. Actually, yeah, that stuff is true. Even if you go in the daytime, you'll still see stuff in the windows. If you go in the nighttime, you're still gonna see something in the windows.
I will say, you just made me die inside when you talked about that movie Death Tunnel. That
movie
was
gives-
the worst movie I've ever seen, and I've seen a lot of
It
bad
gives me
movies.
the creeps. I can't watch it.
the
at
The
night.
movie Death Tunnel?
Yes.
For Waverly,
Like-
though, we got it broken down into segments because I've spent a lot of time researching Waverly just over the years. So we'll get to the Death Tunnel. It's
Okay.
on there.
I was just talking about that horrible movie where they were in like
Yeah.
Penis Thrill.
Yeah, it's shit.
Oh, I'm sorry, Phoenix Hill, which is no longer standing.
Penis thrill. What the?
Well, okay, yeah, because someone that's listening to this is like, Penis Thrill, what is
Oh,
that?
no.
And I'm like,
this
us
is the regular thing
locals,
for
Yeah,
us.
that's Phoenix.
us locals are like, Penis Thrill, but it's really called the Phoenix Hill Tavern, which is no longer standing,
Yeah, they're gone.
unfortunately.
Which used to be haunted itself.
Yeah.
Oh, it still is. I don't care. They can build a parking lot over it, but that shit.
It's a haunted parking
yeah.
lot.
Yeah, it's going to be a haunted parking lot.
Okay.
So tell us the statistics of this.
All right, so we're going to break it down piece by piece. So there's going to be probably like 5 or 6 things we're going to be covering
There's a lot
from
to
Waverly.
cover.
Yep. So just a general description of Waverly. It opened in 1910 as a 2-story hospital to accommodate 40 to 50 tuberculosis patients. In the early 1900s, Jefferson County was ravaged by an outbreak of tuberculosis, or known as the White Plague, which prompted the construction of a new hospital. The hospital closed in 1961 due to the antibiotic drug streptomycin
Good enough.
that lowered the need for such a hospital. Numerous stories of wandering spirits are heard from Waverly, but to name only a few, we'll start out with room 502.
Oh,
yeah.
shit.
The head nurse in 1928 was found hanging from a light fixture, supposedly of depression, because she was pregnant with an unwanted child. 4 years later, another nurse jumped from the patio of that same room to her death, and it's speculated she may have been pushed. Maybe from the head nurse? Maybe?
Could be. Could be.
Ghostly forms of women or a woman are reported in and around 502.
And also, there was a band growing up that I used to watch called Incursion 502, and they got the 502. It wasn't the area code like some people would think, but it was the room 502 from Waverly, and they actually stole the numbers 502. And every time they would do a concert, their equipment would break. One of the guys' houses flooded. His wife left him. And it wasn't until he removed the numbers from room 502 in Waverly that shit started, panning out and going his way again.
I mean, you can say what you want, but it is really coincidental that the most hauntings happen in 502.
That is kind of like it's coincidental, but it's also, it's just the accoutrement for the
Oh, I
Louisville,
agree.
Kentucky haunt.
I mean, I'll go ahead and take this moment to mention how I view paranormal stuff. I don't know what I believe when it comes to this kind of stuff. It's fun to talk about.
I'm like that too.
So, but I'm going to talk as if it's fact, but, just keep that in the back of everyone's mind.
Waverly almost is fact, though. That's like one of the only places where you can just be like, well,
Yeah.
I don't know what I believe, but you almost can't deny it.
Waverly is literally, if you watch any paranormal show,
That's the
even if
biggest
you
one.
hate them,
Yeah.
even if you hate them, love them, whatever, they're all like, man, Waverly Hills was like the creepiest place I've ever
yeah.
been. Because it is creepy.
Oh, yeah.
I drive by and I'm like, ugh.
Well, I
You get
think
a
that
weird feeling.
Affliction t-shirt is fucking creepy. The one dude's always like,
We're not talking
get a new
about
fucking
Zach
shirt.
Bagans.
Yeah, with Zach Bagans from Ghost Adventure.
Get a different fucking shirt.
Goddamn leukemia monster.
That dude's an asshole. Sorry.
Yeah.
Am I gonna get sued over this? I don't know.
I don't fucking care.
No,
about
we're
that
getting
dick.
sued. That's what's going on.
We're right there with you.
No,
Man, it's
We'll
that
set up
part
a
is they
GoFundMe.
turn the damn thing into a haunt during haunt season.
Yeah.
And nothing ever happens. Like, I went through their haunt once at
Uh-huh.
Waverly, and you would think this is the most haunted place in the world.
It's awful.
We're going to put a haunt in there, even though it's already haunted.
Yeah.
We're going to have actors. You go
It's
through and like,
awful.
this is horrible.
Oh,
I mean,
God.
not to download, I'm for all haunts, but it's like, you expect, okay, besides the flair of actors, there's going to be ghosts that are actually going to scare the shit out of me.
Yeah.
No, you go through the whole thing and it's like,
Well,
I didn't see anything
if we're
fall
gonna-
over, nothing.
If we're going to go over Waverly Haunted House real fast, and if anybody from Waverly is listening to this right now,
We apologize.
we don't like to dog other haunted
I've
houses.
never been, so. I
But
don't know.
Me either.
my biggest criticism for Waverly has always been they have the perfect story to play off of,
They do.
and they don't do it.
No, they don't.
So, if anyone's listening, that's just a little bit of constructive criticism. I don't want to make it sound like we're dogging it too hard.
They'll stick a nurse
we're
in
not
there,
dogging it, but they were like, one year, Jamie invited me. Jay Styles, who's not here right now.
Yes.
She was like, you should go to the Waverly Haunt with us. And I was like, okay. Something came up and I couldn't go. And then I had texted her that night and I said, how's it going at the haunt? And she's like, we've been driving in the parking lot for 3 hours. And I'm like, ew.
Yeah.
Damn.
They weren't even in the haunt. They were driving up to park for 3 hours. And I was
Damn.
like, I'm good.
But I think that's why people go to that haunt every year around Halloween, is just to be in the presence of Waverly Hills, not necessarily to be in the haunted house
Drive
that they
by
have.
it.
Well, they don't let you on the right floors, though.
Just the first floor. It's maybe
Yeah,
a quarter
they
of the
don't
way
even
through.
do
That's
Yeah.
not where all the hauntings and stuff are anyway.
Yeah.
No, it's
And
not.
now they're trying to a bed and breakfast.
Yeah, I heard that
but
too.
they've been saying that kind of stuff for a long while.
Oh, they said they were going to turn it into a hotel.
Yeah. I got another question for you guys.
Okay.
If you were dead, would you cook for other ghosts?
Would I cook for other ghosts?
Yeah.
No, it depends on if they're assholes or not.
Well, because we got a story from Waverly about somebody doing this.
If they got
really?
big
Yeah.
titties, if
It's,
it's like a big titty ghost, then, yeah.
according to Louisville Ghost Hunter Society, reports say that they ended up coming across the kitchen and started investigating it for a while and had no luck in there. So they were about to leave, and as they were leaving, they heard disembodied footsteps. The door shut, and then they smelled baking bread.
It was pretty cool.
That's
Was it
interesting.
Papa's?
I mean, if I'm a ghost, I would like some fresh bread.
I mean, how are you gonna eat it unless it's like spectral bread?
Maybe I'll like puke my ectoplasm
Be like-
on it like a fly.
Be like
and just,
chakra energy, man.
I mean, yeah, because I'm just like, okay, so, there is a whole theory then about energy that just goes around and around. What do they call it again, Sean?
Residual?
Residual energy.
Wow.
Residual energy then, so does that bring in the theory of residual energy?
I
Yeah, I think so.
For I've listened to paranormal podcasts before. Again, I used to work third shift, and whenever you guys weren't on, I'd listen to them because they had like a 500 episode backlog that I never got through. And they would always point out that residual energy probably wouldn't affect things around them. So if this ghost thing making their bread shut the door, I wouldn't say that this is residual, because otherwise you probably would have heard the door shutting, you wouldn't have seen it shut.
Yeah.
But I think my whole thing is, all these ghost hunting shows, they're like, there's this spirit in the hallway that wants to play ball with you because she was one of the children that had tuberculosis.
Yeah, Mary.
And then you play ball. I think that's residual energy.
Oh, we'll get to some ball playing.
Oh, yeah.
Alright, never mind, no comment. I was going to say some weird shit. I don't want to offend anybody.
Whose balls? Your balls? My balls.
Man, every ball. Every single one.
I don't have balls.
You got lady balls.
Yeah, there you go.
All right, so apparently elderly people are afraid of younger people. Found this out through Waverly.
Younger
also.
people.
Yeah. One of the saddest ghost stories, apparently, is of an elderly woman who roams the hospital, moaning and bleeding from her chained hands and feet. And she cries out for help, but when outsiders approach her, she runs away screaming in terror.
Well, how can I help her?
Yeah, I don't know.
What's going on here?
I got a couple Miller Lights, I mean,
So with that story, like, coincide with a lot of stuff you see in, like, 13 Ghosts. You know, that wrongful death.
It's kind of got that feel to it almost.
Maybe. I mean, maybe I was about to say maybe she's the whole residual energy stuff too, but she's responding.
Why is she chained up? Why you got chained up an old lady for? Come on.
This was Waverly.
They're old and slow anyway.
This was, I know I didn't cover it at the beginning of this, but you guys know this, but just saying it for the podcast, Waverly was fucking horrific.
it was brutal.
You haven't even got to the weird surgeries.
Oh, God,
I'm
yeah.
focusing more on like ghost sightings for Waverly.
Okay.
So we can go ahead and cover the weird surgeries and stuff now. Actually, there was a character of mine for the haunted house that I played years ago who in storyline was a former Waverly Hills doctor. And his favorite form of surgery was thoracoplasty.
What is that exactly?
What is
Explain
this?
that.
Removing someone's ribs
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
yeah.
and compressing them with sandbags over their lungs.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
he grew an obsession with ribs and ended up killing his father that way too.
Did he become Marilyn Manson?
He became a puppet actually.
I was going to say, did he work for Texas
Oh,
Roadhouse?
that's the Dr. Marionette character.
Yes, it's the doctor.
So, was it like that movie, Dead Silence? I like that
Silence?
movie.
I
I
think
love
he
that
said it's
movie.
based,
I love that movie.
more based on magic.
You were a magician.
No.
With
We covered magic briefly on another show we did. It's like my favorite horror movie because I don't watch a lot of horror movies. It
Liar.
had Anthony Hopkins in it, Burgess Meredith, and Anne Margaret. And Anthony Hopkins played a ventriloquist who suffered from a real thing that I have experienced because I'm a ventriloquist, called spontaneous schizophrenia. where for a split second you will forget that you're controlling the puppet and it'll do its own thing and talk on its own.
Whoa.
But in his circumstance, it happened all the time. He could not disassociate the puppet being its own thing. So the puppet started telling him to kill people.
So does Jeff Dunham have this particular thing or something?
Yeah, every ventriloquist has it.
Hey,
Oh my God.
if you've seen the
Just
movie
some are
Dead
more
Silence,
noticeable.
maybe Jeff Dunham is dead and it's just someone behind
I
him.
wish he was dead. I'm sorry.
Oh!
So that's how you
Yeah.
do it, Hugh. That's how you
Shots
stay rich.
fired! Oh.
All right, let's get to some ball playing.
All right, that's my favorite thing.
All right,
Love balls.
one of the more well-known ghosts at Waverly Hills is a little boy named Timmy. Timmy was around 6 or 7 years old when he died in the hospital. Since he died with his whole life ahead of him, his spirit can't move on, and he wanders the hospital trying to have fun. Visitors often bring balls for him to play with, and many claim they see the balls moving, seemingly on their own. Believers in Timmy say it's him, while skeptics say the balls are moving thanks to either wind or an uneven flooring.
Yeah.
Wasn't
I
there a
don't
little
know.
girl too?
Yeah.
There's
right.
probably a couple.
Yeah.
Because they've proven that if you're in certain hallways of Waverly Hills, there's no wind.
Yeah.
There's no wind.
It's
There's
open air, but
it's open air in certain parts, but when you're in certain parts of the hospital, there's no open air. There's nothing.
you got
pushing
corners
through.
and walls and corridors and this.
And by the
that.
way, I am a skeptic.
Yeah.
I don't believe every single goddamn haunting
Yeah.
story. I just don't.
What
I
you
think this
should.
is one of the ones we concluded that is actually kind of factual with a lot of their incidents and stuff.
Yeah.
But, you know.
We would love, if anyone's listening right now, is the Kentucky Podcast Massacre. If you want to put us in Waverly, we would love it.
Or we can go with our pals here from BooTv.
Oh, I would
Yeah.
love. Okay,
Yeah.
honestly, BooTv and Kentucky Podcast Massacre, put us in here.
Let's make music together.
Right?
Yes.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Man, go all out. Let's make love.
Oh yeah, let's make music together.
Feel
We
like
became
making
hippies.
So make sure to bring Booty in with us.
I'm not gonna say anything about that right now.
I'm just saying though, I just, there's I've watched many documentaries and many ghost shows. Every single one of them all agrees that Waverly is the most haunted place I've ever been.
I
Yeah.
agree with all this. This is just stuff I found online.
No, it's
And here Alex
fantastic.
thought they thought Island of the Dolls was the creepiest. But Waverly seems to have more history to it. That's just sparked that
Yeah.
ugly movie.
60,000 people or so died. And if there's going to be one place that's haunted, whether you believe in the paranormal or not, if 60,000 people died it, I mean, you got to kind of like say to yourself, well, maybe there is something that's lingering around there.
It's always going to be a place with a lot of tragedy involved. It's never like
Yeah.
Disneyland's probably not fucking haunted because everybody's
There's a lot of
so happy.
decapitations there.
Not only that, but us living in Kentucky, it's the biggest, in my opinion, for Louisville, it's the biggest draw. Because
Oh, yeah.
almost everybody around the U.S. knows of Waverly.
But
Yeah.
not just that.
Yeah.
I mean, you can go out of the U.S. and a lot of people know about Waverly. Waverly
yeah.
is super popular all around the world.
Oh, yeah.
Because any top 10 most haunted places in the world list, almost any of them, you'll find Waverly on it.
Waverly's always 2 or 3 on the list.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
So let's move on to some Minecraft with the Creeper.
Oh, it's going to blow up.
I love the Minecraft.
No, this is a little bit of a different creeper. The creeper is a dark, terrifying entity that crawls along floors and the walls of Waverly Hills. Some believe it's an otherworldly spirit or a demonic force, while others believe it's a human spirit that's been twisted by the trauma of their tuberculosis death. Whatever its true nature, those who encounter it are invariably filled with dread.
Well, you said invariably
Yes.
filled with dread. I liked that.
Invariably. That is the word of the night.
I want him to do my voice now. Ruth is invariably filled with too much to do.
I can do it as Gribbins if you want.
I would like it.
She's invariably filled with dread.
She can answer all right now. She will call you back.
Y'all are making me tingle right now. So
No, but that's creepy. Like,
So,
I
It's
don't
not
know
just
as much
creepy, it's
about
the
that.
creeper.
Yeah,
but
I
let me
don't know
tell
as
you
much about
something.
that one.
If I were to die tomorrow, and I got to be a ghost, and it was like I knew I was going to be a ghost.
You'd be the creeper.
It's like, would you be a fun ghost or a creepy ghost? And I'm like, can I be like a combination of the both?
A little bit of Casper mixed with a little bit of
Man,
Yeah.
I'd just go around pulling
Yeah.
people's pants down.
Yeah, that'd be funny.
Right? Would you be a fun ghost or a creepy ghost? I'd be like both.
Can I just be an alcoholic ghost that
I
likes
mean,
to drink
there-
and have a good time?
There are ghosts out
Yeah.
there. That same paranormal podcast that I've listened to before, it's mainly listener stories, which I know you guys are.
I think I know what you're talking about, but
And somebody called in and they were like, yeah, so we were at this hotel and we were in this haunted room and we were having a couple of beers and I think they had like a spirit box going or something like that and the ghost wanted a beer.
Yeah.
So they gave him water. And
Oh.
he started like flipping
I would
furniture.
freak the fuck out if I was that ghost. Be like, hey,
And
buddy.
they were like, you should, like the hotel staff were like, you should have gave him beer.
Yeah.
He likes his
Exactly.
beer.
Yeah,
all I
like if
wanted.
we were hanging out right now, well, we are hanging out right now, but if a ghost was like, hey, give me a beer, I'd be like, Corey,
here you go.
Yeah.
you got like 40
I
beers
got a
in
bunch
your
of fucking beer,
refrigerator.
man.
I got
Let's
like
do
4
it.
more in
I
there.
love beer.
That's something, if I were a ghost, I'd be a co-ghost. I'd just be like, give me some weed,
right?
and I want to see some titties.
Yeah.
Hey, you could just go into someone's shower while they're going.
Yeah, but I would be respectful. I don't know.
Just, like right,
Well, at that point, respect kind of goes out the window. Like it's playtime.
right in the steam. Be like, can I watch? And then see what they say.
Right? Yeah, and they were like, they'd probably freak out.
Yeah.
And then they would probably slip and break their neck, and then I'd have a hot ghost.
Oh, man.
Well,
It's fucking
there you
go
go.
time.
That's how you get them.
So going back to this whole creeper story, like I've studied like Waverly Hills for probably the past 12, 13 years, and this didn't come up until just recently. I don't think when it came. Like I think it was one of the paranormal shows
Now watch out.
that showcased the creeper, but like going back and everything like that. There's no mention of it, so I don't know if this is like a fabrication, them trying to add something to the already haunted history of Waverly Hills. But I mean, it's totally possible that it could be some type of maybe demonic entity or dark spirit that resides in the place.
Well, on top of that, Waverly's so popular, you're bound to get something.
Some of those
Yeah.
false ones. I mean, like, do the walls actually bleed?
No.
I mean, I've
No.
heard that, and I mean,
No, that's made up. We've debunked that one before.
Have you looked at the walls?
Yeah.
This is not blood. This is fucking strawberry jam.
Danzig walked in and was like, does the walls bleed up? Aqua Teen Hunger Force, anyone?
So
No.
No.
our last Waverly subject, appropriately, is our last ride down the body
Okay.
chute.
Oh, shit. That's the place.
And I couldn't find, in the short time I was researching for this, specific encounters, but I know there's encounters there. The body chute is a haunting tunnel used to carry the dead out of the hospital so others could not see. Many general ghost sightings are recorded and accompanied with a sense of dread, much like the creeper.
you
Oh,
know,
yeah.
funny story about the Death Tunnel. Back to that concert I was telling you about that I went there. There was a little boy, and he was with, because it was an all-age concert.
Yep.
And somehow, this little boy got inside the Death Tunnel.
Dang.
You know, and it was, the hospital was closed off for the show.
Yeah.
But somehow he got inside the Death Tunnel, and the police and everybody were looking for him frantically for like hours, and then they didn't find him till the next day, and he was curled up in a ball in a corner of the Death Tunnel.
yeah.
Oh, man.
You know, he's saying, talking in like all weird stuff.
Ew. Weird.
Yeah, saying that, you know, there's demons and he saw shit. You know,
Fuck.
this boy looked tormented, and I was like, damn.
Well, that investigation went
So-
horribly wrong, I would have to
We
say.
talk about the Death Tunnel though, but there was a movie. It came out in like 2008, 2009 called Death Tunnel, and there was a scene.
Which there's a makeup artist from Louisville that used to work in our
Yes,
business.
there was
together.
a scene at Phoenix Hill Tavern, which is another extremely haunted local place.
Penis through.
Yes,
Yeah.
it was Penis Hill.
I know the place.
And it started off there and it ended there. And I remember watching the movie going, God damn, can we have a better movie? It was so bad. It was so bad. So if there's anyone listening, can we get a good Waverly Hills movie?
Yeah, I have Robert Rodriguez come in and make one. I mean, it's, you know.
Hey,
Can
well,
we
well,
have
right
it
there,
like
yeah.
even Rob Zombie?
Yeah, come on, dude.
Can we get a
Why not?
good
I mean-
Waverly Hills movie?
Covering anything that we've covered on here so far would be interesting, and then imagine throwing all that together.
If you want a good representation of Waverly Hills, go and find Spooked. It was done by the Booth brothers. It's a documentary.
Boo Brothers?
The Booth brothers, not the Boo brothers.
I was about to say they're impeding on our
I
territory.
know, you need to sue them. But they did this documentary called Spooked. They used to sell it at Wild and Woolly Video. They actually came in, their whole crew, They camped out at Waverly Hills for a couple of months, and they captured like all the different like disembodied voices in Waverly. They have like the first instance on tape of the Death Tunnel phantoms, is what they call it, which is not voices but like weird high-pitched sounds that they recorded in the Death Tunnels that they call the Death Tunnel phantoms. And that to me is more of a better representation of Waverly Hills than the Death Tunnel. So check them out.
All right. So are we gonna wrap up with Waverly?
Yeah.
All right.
I mean, unless you have something else.
I've pretty much covered everything so far.
Blew your load.
He threw his hands up. And
I mean,
said, obvious.
the pretty much anything I'm gonna cover is written down for me. Let's hear from you guys. Let everyone know if they haven't listened to you already. Who are you guys once again?
Well, we are the Kentucky Podcast Massacre, your premium paranormal roundtable comedic podcast.
Goofy beer bitch.
And I am the Goofy Beer Bitch, Sean Wolf Party Martin.
I am ruthless, and Jesus Christ, I love you guys.
Channeling Bigfoot.
I am.
Sam Squanch.
And you are.
I'm Kentucky Corey. I love Wildcats. I like Ric Flair, and anybody that don't like Ric Flair can fuck right off.
I'm just right now that I love the Amityville Horror.
Hugh here. Just wanted to let you guys know this is where we're going to end our episode with Kentucky Podcast Massacre here on BooTv. But if you're craving any more, go ahead and go check it out on BooTalk at bootalk.podbean.com. That's a podcast where if we run out of time on BooTv, it can go to the podcast, or also we can just go into more in-depth detail on a podcast rather than what we can on the show. Go ahead and go check it out. I have a episode 0 posted up if you want to know more information about what Boo Talk is supposed to be. On BooTv, our time frame let us get to things within Louisville, which is our local area. But on the rest of the recording that you can hear on Boo Talk, you'll be able to hear things from outside of Louisville. It will still be within Kentucky because that's considered our local area. But just to get your palates wet, on Boo Talk we will be talking about Bobby Mackey's Music World, Mammoth Cave, Hopkinsville Goblins, the Hillbilly Beast, and the Witch Girl of Pilot's Knob.
We're good. I promise. I'm sober. Anyways, thank you guys for being on the show.
As always, stay spooky, my friends.
I got smart that time. Please buy the bottle. He needs rehab.
I'm not doing 3 this time.